Am I the jerk? My roommate used my bed for sex. Hey folks, I'm thankful for your input. I don't think I am the asshole, but who knows? My best friend Alex, who is also 30 years old and male, had a huge falling out with his family for career reasons. They threw him out, and he's been living with me since. It's been great and fun. Alex has a guest bed in a separate room. One thing I noticed about Alex after a few weeks is that he is quite sexually active. Nothing against that. His life, his fun. He uses his guest bed for this too, which I am okay with as well. I have this sort of tradition for a few years now that every Friday after work, I immediately visit my parents and we eat dinner together. It's a small family gathering once a week. Last Friday, however, in the morning while I was at work, my mom texted me that they wouldn't be at home for some reason. So I thought, why go there in the first place? And after work, I immediately drove home. Well, I entered my flat and could hear moaning. It was then that I noticed the door to the guest room, which is opposite the entrance door at the end of the corridor, was open. The noises were coming from my right, which was the door to my own room. So after I realized what was happening, I stormed into my own room and saw Alex having sex with some girl on my bed. I screamed at both of them, demanding the girl to get out of my flat and asking Alex if he had lost his mind. Another thing I might need to add, if it matters, I don't know, is the fact that I am gay, which Alex has known ever since school. So not only did I have to think that my best friend was using my bed, but also that one woman, or more, had been on there as well, which absolutely disgusted me. Seeing the sheet then and a small puddle of what could only have been the girl's bodily fluids was even more sickening to me. My first action was to go for that sheet and throw it inside the washing machine, all the while Alex and I screamed at each other. He told me to calm down and that I was overreacting. I just repeated myself for the most part, telling him he was an asshole for using my bed, that he disgusts me, and that he'd be equally disgusted if I used his guest bed. He eventually stormed out angrily and was gone for several hours. I have spoken to some other friends, all three male and straight. They all think I overreacted. They said I should have told him about my mother's text and that I'd be home earlier. Now, I don't know what to think. Did I overreact? Am I the asshole here for telling him he is disgusting and an asshole for using my bed for his sexual encounters? Because it's nothing wild. Thanks for your answers and views. Maybe even some advice on how to handle the situation. Alex and I are not on speaking terms right now and ignore each other, though he still lives with me. I think neither of us wants to admit they were wrong and make the first step. Sorry for the long text. Thanks for reading and for your answers. Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk. He literally has his own room and bed to have sex in, so going out of his way to use your bed knowing you'd be gone is just weird. Your friend is totally in the wrong as he violated your personal space, and there's no telling how many times you slept on nasty sheets he didn't wash. Honestly, it's baffling that your friends think you're overreacting. He should have been way more respectful, especially since you took him in like the good friend you are. Am I the jerk? My partner is upset. I didn't check with him before finalizing travel plans. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 3 years and living together for almost 1 year. My cousin, a 26-year-old female, and I, a 24-year-old female, talk often. She recently decided to take a weekend trip from Friday to Monday to Turks and Caicos. She booked the Airbnb, bought her flight, and invited me for a small girls' trip getaway. The Airbnb is on a nice resort with food, drinks, and complimentary beach massages included. I would only have to pay my airfare, which wouldn't be too much because my mom works for an airline, and I often fly with her benefits at little to no cost. She invited me yesterday, and I said I would love to go. I told my boyfriend today about our plans, and he got upset. He asked why I was just now telling him and mentioned that when two people are in a relationship, the other one is supposed to check with their partner if it's cool before finalizing any travel plans. I can understand giving notification, but that sounds a lot to me like asking for permission. When I said that, he got more upset, saying I was being difficult and not trying to see where he was coming from. He said that I didn't know if he had anything planned for that weekend, and that I didn't think to ask if he wanted to come. He doesn't have a passport, which I've been trying to convince him to look into for years now. Even if he did have one, my cousin invited me, not both of us. I feel it'd be rude to bring him when she hasn't even had the chance to meet him yet. She's not bringing her own boyfriend. It was pretty much just supposed to be a girls' trip, and he made no mention of any trip or activity beforehand. I don't want to come off as disrespectful to him or our relationship because I do love him, but I don't want to feel like I have to seek his permission to go on a weekend trip with my cousin. When he goes out of town to hang with his cousins, he tells me. He does not ask permission, and I don't expect him to. He gives me a day or two's notice. I gave a whole week's notice and pointed that out, but he said he wasn't interested in going tit for tat. That wasn't my intention. I was just trying to point out how he sees things differently when it's him and not me. Now he won't talk to me, and he's walking around huffing and slamming doors. Am I the asshole? He'll keep his little tantrum going until he wears someone down. That's because he wants to impose a different set of rules. I mean, why do you think some people are unable to date peers their own age? I think you are not in the wrong here. He's trying to control the situation. Am I the jerk for not giving my sibling access to an apartment that our grandmother promised them? 20 years ago, my grandmother promised my brother an apartment before she passed away. She registered him there without my grandfather's knowledge. In our country, this is often considered equivalent to ownership rights, though it's not entirely so. My grandfather was living in the United States at the time and rarely visited. My father and brother started renovating the apartment together. When my grandfather returned to Poland and discovered that my brother was registered there, he decided to have him legally deregistered without his knowledge. For several years, my grandfather only visited my father's sister's family and had a strained relationship with our side of the family. My brother got offended and stopped talking to him altogether. Eventually, my father and grandfather reconnected, and my grandfather decided to write a will leaving the apartment to my father upon his death. Sadly, my father passed away, and my grandfather made a new will, bequeathing the apartment to my brother. Unfortunately, my brother is an alcoholic, and my grandfather started worrying that after his death, my brother might squander the apartment. My grandfather gave my brother an ultimatum that he had to be sober during his next visit, or he would leave the apartment to someone else. My brother started drinking again before my grandfather's visit. My grandfather gave him a second chance, but my brother drank again before his arrival. My grandfather then decided to leave the apartment to me because, apart from my mother, only my wife and I kept in regular contact with him. After my grandfather's death, I took care of bringing his ashes back, arranging the funeral, and handling the inheritance matters. The apartment is about to be officially transferred to me, but my brother claims he deserves half because that was our grandmother's wish, and because he invested in renovating the apartment. We have now agreed that I will transfer the apartment to my daughter when she comes of age. He has agreed to this, but he wants access to the apartment in the meantime. I fear that he might move in, start drinking there, and I will end up having to pay the bills. Am I the asshole? You did nothing wrong here. A promise made 20 years ago means nothing in the reality of today, especially considering your brother's actions. He squandered the opportunity by not meeting your grandfather's conditions and needs to deal with the consequences of his choices now. Just because your grandmother promised the apartment to your brother doesn't mean he has a right to it. He made his decision already, and that lost him the apartment. Am I the jerk for telling my stepson not to watch TV in my bedroom on my side of the bed? Let me start by saying the kiddo is 10 years old and great. We are a great little family, but Mom and I keep on getting into tiffs for things like this. Sometimes I come home from work, and he is on my side of the bed, chilling, snacking, and dropping crumbs. It can irk me. Mom will not allow a TV in his room, and I feel the same way. She doesn't want him stuck upstairs watching TV all day. I feel that applies to our bedroom as well. He has a whole loft area upstairs with a couch and a recently new to us giant TV. Next to our bedroom, downstairs, we have a family room with another large TV and couch. I simply point out that we should not come home from school and plop down in our bed, on my side, watching TV when we have areas set aside for that. I have expressed this multiple times but get told I am too controlling and kill the vibe when I get home. To clarify, Mom was out in the garden while he was chilling on my side of the bed. Every now and then is okay, especially when it is kind of a weekend thing. I literally asked him when I got home, seeing him there, why he did not use the other areas provided for that. Mom came in hot and escalated the situation, and it was not a good look for either of us due to a previous tiff. I know some of our tiffs stem from other things and this is just a coal in the fire sometimes, but I don't think it is that big of an ask. I feel that children should not be in our bedroom and have made changes in my beliefs regarding that. We have a giant house and we should be allowed to have an adults-only area. So him always being in there is hard to swallow, but I do it for her. Again, I enjoy the kid very much and we have a great relationship. I have been in his life for nearly 6 years now. I just feel I should not be challenged when I bring it up on occasion that maybe we should use other areas set aside for things, no matter how much the chill is better in our room. Am I the asshole? You did nothing wrong here. Adults should have a private space, and with 2 other places with giant TVs for him to chill in, it's super annoying. He's 10 and can understand not to invade his parents' space if told not to. Wanting to jump into a clean, non-crumby bed at the end of the day is not a big ask. Am I the jerk for not allowing my dog in my bed? In my bed? I am a 34-year-old woman, single, living alone. I adopted a 6-year-old Shih Tzu mix from a shelter last year. He has adjusted to life with me and is very well behaved. We have a lot of fun together on my days off. I started a job with 3 12-hour shifts per week, so my parents watch him at their home when I'm working. They have always said it is no trouble and that he is a joy to have around. My dog is always happy to go over there and he is obsessed with my dad. I had 2 rules for my dog and I made sure my family knew them. He sleeps in his own bed and he only eats dog food. My mom had a habit of feeding her dog table scraps, even though it would often be things with garlic and onion, which are not good for dogs. She also let her dog sleep in her bed. I have never wanted this because I like a clean bed free of hair and smells. My dog is allowed on any other furniture and in any part of the house. He tried to get in bed with me the first 2 days, but since then has gone straight to his own bed in my bedroom, and that's our routine. Recently, I went on a short vacation with my family where I said my dog could sleep in my room in the Airbnb, as we had brought his bed with us. My mom overruled me for some reason, and I was too tired to fight, so I said whatever. The next day I learned she let my dog and my brother's dog sleep in the bed with her. There was no room for my dad, and he had to sleep on the couch. The next night, I was trying to sleep at about 9:30 p.m. as I was worn out and didn't feel like going to a fireworks show with everyone else. I thought my dog would be scared of the fireworks anyway. My mom flung open the door to my room and told my brother to put my dog on my bed. I argued back, saying, "No, let's get his bed and he can sleep on the floor next to me as that's what we do at home." Since then, my mom has been talking badly about me, telling the rest of the family that I shouldn't have a dog and accusing me of never paying attention to him. That's verifiably false. I'm getting a little paranoid and wondering if she's trying to slowly take him from me. I had a 9-to-5 job when I adopted him, but had to quit to maintain my sanity. I wouldn't have gotten a dog with my current schedule and consider my parents' help a blessing. I talked about getting a walker or looking at daycares and they wouldn't hear of it. Am I really an asshole and a horrible pet owner because I set this boundary for my dog? You are not in the wrong here. Your dog, your choice. It's honestly just a matter of preference, and everyone should respect that. Your mom is clearly overstepping by trying to dictate where your dog sleeps. She might not be the best person to watch your dog anymore. Am I the jerk for not helping my sibling out with talking to their children? My brother is a pretty terrible parent and person in general. He was married and cheated on his first wife a lot. She did not know until she was already sick, which made an already upsetting and traumatic experience for her children worse. At the time, my niece was 10 years old and my nephew was 8 years old. His first wife kicked him out and filed for divorce. They actually did get divorced before she died, but it was very close. My brother did not even try to be there for his children. He only stepped in once their mother had died, and even that felt very uninterested. After several months of living like that, he decided he would find a girlfriend and get someone to raise his children for him. He went through 3 girlfriends before finding his current wife. The 3 girlfriends before her ran when they realized the children were not going to play nice with them and did not want a new mother like my brother wanted this girlfriend to be. However, his wife did not care if the children did not like her. She is very harsh, roughly spoken, and controlling and tries to dictate their every move. She declared herself the children's mother whether they liked it or not and said she would not tolerate anything less than full respect, including the correct title, which was mother or mom. The children hate her. They are now 14 and 16 years old, and they hate her. I am not entirely sure she does not hate them too. I do not think she expected them to refuse her for this long, but that is what has been happening. My parents have stepped in and tried to help and get my brother to realize his children need a different kind of help, such as therapy. But he wants his wife to take care of all child-related stuff. Even Child Protective Services calls did nothing. He is actually a better husband to this wife, though that took a few years, but he stopped sleeping around, and he and his wife seem to get along fine. Where all this is leading to is this: my brother's wife lost 2 children before she met my brother. She had a 2-year-old who passed away from an allergic reaction and a stillbirth some months after the loss of her first child. She was left sterile after this. My brother's wife is down around the anniversary of her children's deaths. She and my brother expect his children to be kinder to her then, but they do everything to upset her more and taunt her about it. They throw some of her words back when questioned on it, saying that they do not care what she has to say and say what she does or does not deserve. My niece told her she was not good enough to be a mother, and she felt bad that the children had her, brother's wife, as a mom. The children were punished, and my brother tried to intervene, but of course, it did not help. He asked me to step in and help him talk to the children about cutting this out. He said they would destroy his wife if they kept being so vicious about this. I refused to help him. I already know it will not do any good because the household is too toxic. My parents offered to take the children off their hands, but my brother said no, and that I should help him and yelled when I said no. Am I the asshole? Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk. It's clear that professional help is the right course of action. It makes no sense why he would refuse your parents' help and demand it from you instead. Those poor kids deserve to get the help they need or get out of that awful situation as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.